Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Well, there have been some updates to the heavyweight division that could explain some of the fights that are being made right now. So when you look at it, especially the Cubans, we know Ortiz is still hanging in there, but to see where Frank Sanchez has kind of positioned himself as a result of continuing to win, right? What I think is going to happen this year is we're going to see Frank Sanchez get himself into some very competitive fights with the big names that he's been asking for. He got through the Efe Ajagba fight with flying colors. Now it's time to see what he does as he has actually stepped into that realm with the rest of the elite. So right now, as far as the ring rankings, can't go against Alexander Usyk as the man. He beat Anthony Joshua. He has all the belts. He has all of those belts. Fury still has the WBC. So Usyk is still the man. Cruiserweight came up to heavyweight and handled business. Tyson Fury's number one. Deontay Wilder's number two. Joshua's number three. Don't think anybody would argue with that. Joe Joyce may be the boogeyman in the heavyweight division. We'll find out if Joe Joyce is really the boogeyman because he and Zhang Zhili are supposed to be getting it on. And we know Joyce, his defense is his face. And if Zhang Zhili, who hits extremely hard, this is where we're going to find out what Joe Joyce is made of. If Zhang Zhili hits Joe Joyce clean, I don't care what kind of beard Joe Joyce has, I can't see him taking that shot. I just can't see him taking those shots. Just like I can't see Zhang Zhili having the stamina past round 6 to hang with Joyce. Like, if the fight goes past round 6, it's all downhill for Zhang Zhili. We know Joyce has, his conditioning is out of this world. His chin is out of this world. The only chance I think Zhang Zhili has is to land that big, powerful left hand, which he will, because Joe Joyce comes straight towards you, very little to no head movement. His punch output, it's not really low, but he just looks simple. But they say when you spar him, when you fight him, he looks simple, but there's nothing simple about it. He puts mental pressure on his opponents, and that mental pressure starts to affect your body. It starts to drain you. And we've seen that in his fights. In particular, what we just saw, we saw it with Daniel Dubois, but we just saw it with Joseph Parker. Parker went life and death with him, and eventually he just ran out of steam. And Joyce got to him and knocked him out. So when you see Joyce and Zhang, all I'm saying is this. Joyce is a special fighter, but I just trying to take the shots of that damn Zhang Zhili, I think that's a recipe for disaster, but we'll see. Andrew Ruiz is still hanging in there at number 5. I would have much rather liked to see a guy like Joyce getting there with a Ruiz Jr. Or Dillian White, who's at number 6. I don't even know why Dillian White's still in here. They need to make the Dillian White-Luis Ortiz fight, but they don't want to put Dillian White in there with Ortiz. They don't want it. Eddie Hearn, I don't know what the story is with Dillian White. He's trying to save him for Joshua. They're not going to put him in there with no damn Ortiz, who's still at number 7. Matter of fact, Joseph Parker is talking about fighting Dillian White again. So Joseph Parker is today's Austin Trout. Talk about somebody who is striking while the iron is hot. He's going to fight as much as possible while he still has a name, while he can still make big money. Parker doesn't care who he fights. As long as he's staying active, he's stacking up his millions. People can say what they want about Joseph Parker. He's about his money. And watch, once he gets himself to the point where he wants, I don't think he really cares about titles. He just cares about money right now. And once he get him another 10, 15 million, Parker's out of here. Flip Hergovic, him and Andy Ruiz, supposed to be in talks. That fight's just been mandated. I think it's a WBO, right? Him and Andy Ruiz, supposed to be getting it on. So that is a good fight. I think Ruiz knocks him out. He's tailor-made for Ruiz, man. You look at the guy who Ruiz fought before Ruiz fought AJ in the first fight, very similar kind of style, and we all know. But then again, Ruiz was with a different trainer too, and different mentality. This Ruiz, he's living a good life. So, but I still give Ruiz the advantage to go and win, to clip Hrgovic, and clip him with no problem. Then you have the Cuban Flash, one of my favorite fighters, Frank Sanchez. He's arrived, people, and you're gonna see in these rankings, Frank Sanchez is right on the cusp of getting himself a shot at the elite. So let's come on down and see what we got here. All right, let me expand this a little bit for you. Okay, I think we can still read over here. Let me do this right here. We look at the WBA to the far right. We can still make sense of those names. Let me slide this over. Okay, so for the WBO, you see these were just updated. Of course, you got Usyk, heavyweight champion, Joe Joyce, the interim champion. Now, this is why they just made the Joe Joyce, the Andy Ruiz and the Flip Hrgovic fights. Okay, but we're gonna get to the IBF here in a second. But you look at here for the WBO, you got Andy Ruiz floating around as the number 1, Frank Sanchez as the number 2. Now, Zhilei Zhang, he is down at the number 12. So that's a little bit of boxing politics for you, to get Joe Joyce into a fight, one of Eddie Hearn's guys, to give Zhang an opportunity to try to clip Joyce, which we know Frank Warren definitely feels that Joyce would beat Zhang. He feels Joyce would beat everybody, so he was okay with making that fight. But when you look at the WBO's ranking, it kind of makes you wonder why in the world Joe Joyce wouldn't get put in with the Frank Sanchez. We understand if Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder aren't going to mix it up, then why not put Andy Ruiz in there with Joe Joyce as well? So, or Andy Ruiz against Frank Sanchez. Like, it just makes you wonder what they have going on over here in these sanctioning bodies and the thought process as far as how they're making the fights. But anyway, you got Andy Ruiz at number 1, Frank Sanchez at number 2. Then Otto Wallin is bubbled up as well. Okay, we know his name has been floating around for a while. We know he got in the ring with Tyson Fury, represented himself very well. But he's actually now starting to move up in the rankings, which is what you want to see. Flip Hrgovic, the number 4 for the WBO. Again, good fighter. I just don't think he's going to go that far. Him and Joe Joyce have history from the amateurs, and they have a lot of respect for each other. I actually watched clips of their fight several months ago. It's an interesting matchup, Flip Hrgovic and Joe Joyce. They both seem very durable. They both seem to be pretty good boxers, but this version of Flip Hrgovic looks to be a bit more robotic than the Flip Hrgovic who was an amateur. Then Anthony Joshua, man, my boy has totally fallen out of the top 3. He's down at number 5 now. Then you got Deontay Wilder. Let me scroll up for you guys so you guys can see it. And you got Deontay Wilder down there at number 6. And then you got Ali Aaron Demirizin at 7. Parker and Jared Anderson is, getting his respect. His name is starting to bubble up a little bit. Dempsey McKean at number 10. Agit Kabayel at 11. And then there you go. You got Zhilei Zhang, which I think Zhilei Zhang should be, he should be ranked above Hrgovic. So out of those fights, we know Andy Ruiz is supposed to be getting it on with Flip Hrgovic. And now the IBF, you look at what you have. You got Usyk, and then underneath that, you got Flip Hrgovic and Andy Ruiz. Now that could be what it is, Flip Hrgovic, Andy Ruiz for the IBF. But that's where you're seeing Andy Ruiz, and it makes you wonder, what the hell is going on with Deontay Wilder? What the hell is going on with the WBC? If Wilder was supposed to fight Ruiz, why would the IBF, right, or any other sanctioning body come out and make Ruiz and Hrgovic the mandatory? Like, that just makes no sense to me. But nonetheless, the number 1 ranked in the IBF is Hrgovic. We've known that. Ruiz is number 2. Ruiz is number 3. Wilder's number 4. Then you have Joshua. Now, when I see Anthony Joshua, and his name so close to Wilder underneath the IBF, that makes me feel even more confident that we could see Anthony Joshua and Wilder get it on this year. If not this year, late this year, maybe early 2024. Because you look in the WBO, now we know these rankings can change at any time, but you look in the WBO, you see Joshua's at number 5, Wilder's at number 6. You look in the IBF, Wilder's number 4, Joshua's number 5. Now, I haven't got to the WBA, but if you go over to the WBA, you can still see what I have on my screen. Wilder's number 3, Joshua's number 4. So 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies have them fairly close. And that could mean a good thing for us as fans as far as finally seeing those guys get in the ring. But as you continue coming down for the IBF, you see, let me scroll down so you guys can see it. You got Anthony Joshua, then you got this guy Alunga. His name keeps floating around, but not really seeing him in any fights. Frank Sanchez. You got Caballel, Yoka, Dillian White still hanging on, McQueen, and Wallen. Okay? Then you come over to the WBC, which I think we all kind of have an idea what's going on with the WBC because their president of the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, is always doing interviews and always talking about what's going on with the WBC. Tyson Fury, who knows what him and Usyk are going to do. My understanding is Fury and Usyk, the announcement was supposed to be imminent. They were talking about fighting in Saudi. Now it's supposed to be at Wembley Stadium in the UK. Tyson Fury wants more money. He doesn't want a 50-50 split anymore. Tyson Fury wants more like a 70-30, something crazy. That is definitely going to derail the fight because Usyk isn't going for that. Hell, Usyk has all those damn belts, man. Come on. 3 of the 4 main belts he has. I'm not talking about the ring. He got the WBO, IBF, and WBA. Why in the world should he concede to a 30% split and Tyson Fury gets 70%? Like, how is that okay? That's all I'm saying. So anyway, if it doesn't happen, Tyson Fury, who, he's talking about Joe Joyce. But look, Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, and Tyson Fury, they're all over there with Frank Warren. So Frank Warren can do what he wants. But the story is, what I think Tyson Fury honestly wants to do, I'm just listening to him. Tyson Fury may be pulling a Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford type deal, where Tyson Fury may say, you know what, I'm going to push this unrealistic purse split, go out here and fight Ngannou, make $100 million, because Tyson Fury against Ngannou, that's a huge, big money crossover fight. Especially if they can get Mike Tyson to be a referee. It sounds like a damn circus, but we'll all be in attendance. That will sell huge on pay-per-view. It'll be a pretty big deal. But I doubt Mike Tyson could ref one of those fights, but he could be in the ring. But who knows, right? But if Tyson Fury and Ngannou can agree to some terms for this funky crossover type fight, I really feel Tyson Fury would do it before he fights Usyk. Now you're talking about a $200 million payday, possibly. So again, we'll wait and see. But as a result of Tyson Fury not knowing what the hell, if he's coming or going, Usyk is floating around there. Now we know Daniel Dubois, we get it as far as the WBA and whatever. But the story is strong rumors about Deontay Wilder and Usyk getting it on. So again, not quite sure what it's going to look like when the dust settles, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ruiz and Hrgovic really fight. If Jalil Zhang and Joe Joyce fight. If Daniel Dubois and Luis Ortiz were to get it on. You see, all these guys are needing opponents. They're not gonna. What's not gonna happen is this: sanctioning bodies are not gonna allow the heavyweight division to bottleneck like what happened with Crawford and Errol Spence. They're getting out ahead of the situation right now. They're like, nah, there's not going to be any 1 year or one and a half years going by where we don't get an undisputed bout. They went through the crap with Wilder and AJ. They're going through the crap right now. They went through it with Fury and AJ. Now they're going through the crap with Fury and Usyk. You watch. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to force some tough fights out here, and they're going to put some pressure on Usyk. They could drop, because, they have no problem forcing 2 mandatories at him at the same time, which goes to purse bid, which they're not going to want to go to purse bid. They're going to want to avoid that. And then if they don't like it, then they're going to have to drop a belt. These sanctioning bodies know how to put pressure on you. When they're ready to put pressure on you, they will. Okay, so don't be surprised. I'm telling y'all, don't be surprised if this heavyweight division gets shook up to a point to where you just can't make sense of it. But it'll make sense to these sanctioning bodies. So as we come on down to WBC again, Waters number 1, Ruiz number 2. Doesn't look like those two are going to fight each other. Again, who knows? It's just a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. Nobody knows what's going on. But look at where Frank Sanchez is, right? When you come over to the WBO, all the way to the left, Frank Sanchez is number 2. When you come on over to the IBF, Frank Sanchez is number 7. When you come over to the WBC, Frank Sanchez is number 3 now. Okay? So Frank Sanchez is doing the work. Have no idea why the WBA, I don't know, understand their criteria, but you got Frank Sanchez is not even in there. That's crazy to me. But after you come on down to the WBC, that guy, Makhmudov, if you guys don't know who Arslanbek Makhmudov is, that guy is a problem. He is a problem. He's going to make some noise. He just needs the opportunity. He can fight. Big boy, too, like 6'6", 6'7", but he can fight. Then you got Joshua Dillian White, who's just, I don't even see why he's in the ranking. And then you come on down, Jared Anderson, man, he's starting to rear his head a little bit, start to get himself into the ranking. So Jared Anderson, it's just a matter of time before he gets his shot. I think this is the year. But I know for a fact him and Efe Ajagba don't want to fight. But Jared Anderson is right there. He may be taking a fight against, I could see him with like an Otto Waller and a Daniel Dubois. He could be fighting, even a Luis Ortiz, a Dillian White. Like that's a good fight for Jared Anderson. Even what's his name? Crazy Derek Chisora, who's also calling for Francis Ngannou. Those could be good fights for him. And then when you come on over to the WBA, of course we know Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, supposed to be mandatory to Usyk, but it looks like there are other plans for Joyce. Daniel Dubois, not really sure what's going on with him, but he's a good name to fight any of these other guys. The number 2 is this guy Olunga. He's reared his head. Somehow he's in the number 2, but he's 13 in the WBO, but everyone else he's top 10. So he's obviously impressed somebody for him to get into that position, especially to be above Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, which I think is madness, but it is what it is. Then you got that name again, Arslanbek Makhmudov. I told y'all about him. Pay attention to that name. Linear Pera, I'm not sure who that is. Luis Ortiz, the old Cuban Cadillac with about 500,000 miles, is still running strong. Flip Hergovic, Trevor Bryan, they need to just get rid of him. Lucas Brown at number 10, absolutely amazing that he's in there. Then, lo and behold, Gerald Miller floating around at number 13. Wow. So, pretty interesting. Now, what's even more interesting is when you come down here and you look at who's dropped out for the WBA. Michael Hunter's dropped out. Zan Kosobutsky's dropped out. And Kevin Lerena. I don't think any of you guys know who that is except for Michael Hunter. Then you look at, for the WBC, Michael Hunter's dropped out and Derek Chisora's dropped out. You can totally understand that. Then when you come on over here for the WBO, Michael Hunter's dropped out and Jermaine Franklin's dropped out. I think that's wrong for them to have dropped Jermaine Franklin, but it is what it is. So when you look at what's going on here with the heavyweights, it's pretty interesting because nothing's been firmed up. Nothing's been firmed up, even for Anthony Joshua. We don't know what the hell Anthony Joshua's supposed to be doing. He's fighting Franklin. Is he fighting McKean? No, it's like no one knows. Deontay Wilder, not really. Is it going to be Usyk? Is it going to be Ruiz? No one knows. Tyson Fury, Ngannou, Usyk. Is it Dubois? Is it Joyce? We know Joyce is supposed to be fighting Zhang. You know, Eddie Hearn is quick to throw stuff into the wind. Throw stuff at the wall doesn't mean it's going to stick. But what we do know is sanctioning bodies are paying attention, and I truly believe they don't want a bottleneck. They don't want a bottleneck. But I really think the fight to make, Zhang and Joyce, is a good fight. Flip Hrgovic and Andy Ruiz is a very good fight. I would like to see, I don't think they'll ever do, but why not put Frank Sanchez in there against Luis Ortiz, or Dillian White against Luis Ortiz, or Dillian White against Frank Sanchez? To me, White, Ortiz, and Sanchez, they should have those three, and they should figure out what they're going to do with those three. Cuba against Cuba, they may not want to do it. You know, it may be like, you know, Ajaba saying he doesn't want to fight Anderson. Now, someone brought this to my attention. Now, Jared Anderson is not, he's not Nigerian. Just Ajaba was calling him his Nigerian brother because of how much time they spent together in a training camp. So I don't know if Anderson is really of Nigerian heritage or not. But again, he could have just, you know, been extending just kind of like a compliment and speaking fondly of Jared Anderson, like he sees him as a Nigerian brother because of maybe how Anderson treated him and how he's helped him. So that could be what that is. But outside of that, you know, take Otto Wallen, who hasn't really had the opportunity he deserved. Throw him in there with this guy Arslanbek Makhmudov. I keep talking about that Makhmudov guy because he's definitely a problem, man. Man's an Olympian. He's a problem. But Frank Sanchez, he needs a big name. Him and Ortiz, they're still hanging in there. Put one of them in there with Dillian White. Put Dillian White out of his misery. And from there, man, I don't know. I guess we got to wait and see. But I just wanted to bring that to you guys so you guys can kind of take a look and try to get an understanding of what's going on. But I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if Usyk and Fury, they keep fooling around. Don't be surprised, man, if you see Usyk getting stripped or something happening with Fury and him and his WBC title, and you see this whole undisputed distinction that we've been waiting for and gunning for since AJ had the belts and Wilder had a belt. Don't be surprised if it gets further away because these sanctioning bodies say, you know what, y'all want to play around like Crawford and Spence? Now we're gonna get in front of that right now and break all of this up. That's all I'm saying. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, and I'm in the breeze.